All right. Welcome, everybody, to a live episode of Mike's Money Picks. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Zach Green, and we are here to talk college hoops. I know this was kind of a, I don't want to say last minute, but, it kind of came together in the last 24 hours live show. So, Zach, thank you for joining me on short notice. How is it going tonight?
Good. Thank you for having me. Had our second baseball game of the season. We won 17-0 tonight. So pretty easy run rule, first two games to start the season. So
it's a nice little tune up, like West Carolina in week one, nice little tune up. Yeah, for me, it's kind of bittersweet to be here because, the whole reason why we're able to make it happen is because I was planning on playing in a conference tournament game tonight for basketball, but we got upset last night. We were the 3 seed got the better of us. They've kind of had our number the last few times we played. I thought we were the better team, but they beat us last night. And so, that kind of allows us to do this show. So I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to be happy to be here. So if you guys are joining us, thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think in the chat. Like, say what's up. Let us know what's on your thoughts for tomorrow because we've got a massive 11-game slate tomorrow, Zach. How you feeling about DraftKings going 11 games on the main slate?
I like it. I know some people don't like it because, they have to get up earlier and do more research, but I like it, especially when they post it early enough that we can go, look at stuff tonight and kind of get an idea. I like the 11 games because there's, to me, I feel like when you get 10 or 11, there's not as much crazy chalk, especially in cash. I mean, they're still going to be 50 to 60%, but instead of being 80 to 90, they're 50 to 60.
I agree completely. I think that 11 games, it is a lot. It's a little overwhelming. There's a lot of options, and I think that that's going to be the name of the game of tomorrow's slate is there are a ton of very easy, very comfortable clicks that you can make. And, with there being 11 games, that's not surprising. And what it's going to do is it's going to reduce ownership, and it's going to kind of, just make it so that way there's a ton of ways to win, ton of ways to build. And so we're going to break that all down here for you. I see we got some activity here in the chat. I see we got our guy Huncho. Thank you for joining us live. Jason B., good evening to you as well. Thank you for being here. And then we got Jonathan and Forklift Jeremy. Got some regulars here in the chat, which is great. So happy to have you guys here as we're going through. If there's anybody that you want us to talk about, any scenario you guys want us to talk about, let us know because that's what we are here. We are here to respond to you guys. Now, right on into it. I'm going to go ahead and show Zach your Google sheet on the screen. While I'm setting it up, why don't you tell the people where they can find this sheet?
Yeah, you can find it on Big Country DFS, Big Country Twitter, or Big Country Discord or Fantasy Corner Discord. We posted all those places so that some people do Twitter, but they don't really do Discord, and that's fine. So that way we can get it spread around. And then of course anybody that has the link can view it. So don't mind if people share with their friends and stuff too. Just send them over. And so. Lots of information, we've talked about this before, but, we got this totals and the spreads and whether or not we feel like it's stacking. And sometimes people okay, why is game total high? But we say no for stacking. Well, it could be like Florida. Ole Miss is just not a team you want to stack. Florida side is good, but when I'm saying stack, I'm talking about both sides of the ball. And so, teams like Ole Miss that have just ridiculous rotations, it's hard to trust for stacking purposes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the totals, looking at who we got in these games. I'm 100% with you on these stacks lists. I think that Creighton St. John's is a little sneaky, but Creighton's a little hard to trust. The Butler Xavier game, I think, is going to be a prime opportunity for stacking. I think there's a lot of pieces in that game that are very reasonably priced. And so, yeah, those are really the only two that I'm looking at building full-on game stacks. Other than that, kind of like I said at the top, there's a lot of really just solid one-off plays on this slate where you just look at it and just in a vacuum, you're like, yeah, that guy at that price, that feels pretty good. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start talking about the guards, Zach. Who at the guard position? Let's just kind of go at the top of the salary list here. Okay. who among the studs at the guard position are you looking at tomorrow? Because I have a name in mind, and it might not be the same as yours.
Okay. First off, Huncho was just telling me, I guess DraftKings isn't updated, but that Duke Miles is probable actually tomorrow.
That is news to me.
And so if that's the case, I'm not interested in Tanner. I wasn't really interested against Tennessee anyways, but now being at that price, and if Miles is in, even if it's limited minutes, yeah, I don't want that. Gillespie, I'm just going down the list here. Harris is on the road. I mean, he's been playing great, but it's a lot of shooting. Gillespie, he finally had a good game last time, but he'd been pretty much hovering around 25 to 30, 35. Min's kind of taken that team over. So the first guy that I'm looking at that I'm interested in is all the way down with Bryce Hopkins, because I always like him.
I like that call. So the thing is with Bryce Hopkins, he's just such a good peripheral stat guy that you got to like him in pace-up environments, in games that's going to feature a lot of scoring. And I do think that this is going to be a game that's going to feature a decent amount of scoring. Creighton is not a great defensive team. They really lack a lot of perimeter athleticism for some of these other teams in the Big East. Looking at it on KenPom, Creighton's the eighth best defense in the Big East. That means they're the fourth worst. So pretty solid matchup. Good rates for Hopkins. I'm on board with you with Bryce Hopkins is kind of the first guy that I'm going to be getting to in my player pool with the guards.
Yeah, and then we have just below him, you got to play the game of how many minutes does Darren Peterson play? But, I mean, he literally only played the first half, and he still put up 32 DraftKings points. So it's one of those things where I don't think people are going to play him because everybody's sick of trying to guess if he's going to play the second half or not. But he's so good that he can still 4 or 5x in one half, even if he decides to sit.
I agree completely with your analysis, but I'm not doing it. I can't.
I'm not doing it either because his teammate is $200 less, and we know that Council's going to play the whole game. And Council's he's been the distributor, and he's got the solid floor. He's still got the upside. I just
can't do it with Peterson, man. I'm just kind of tired of it. Yes, he's such objectively a good basketball player, but why doesn't he play basketball? This whole make a three and I'm asking out of the game. This whole, I got cramps, but nobody sees it. This whole, I got the flu, but it's right before. I'm just so done with it. And it's nothing against him as a person. I'm sure he has. Nobody knows what's going on inside his own head, and nobody knows who's in his ear either, because that's something you got to deal with in college sports now. I just don't want to do it in DraftKings. And great player, incredible scorer, not doing it considering he can just check out and with 20 DraftKings points and ruin my night.
Yeah.
So let me give you one more, Zach. This is one where you got to check the injuries. Okay. Cole Serta. If Jay Carlson is out, I really like the idea of playing Cole Serta. I really do. Now, you got to get that injury news. If you don't know that Harrelson is out, it would be a terrible play if Harrelson's back in to get Cole Serta at this price tag. But, Zach, did you know that Marcus Burton and Jalen Harrelson, when they were healthy, combined for 64% usage? So now that neither of them are there. Last game, Serta led the team 23%. He took 20 shots, 11 of which were three. This kid's just going to have the ball in his hand all game against Pitt as long as Harrelson is out. So, you can nitpick all you want, be like, oh, he doesn't put up peripherals. Oh, he, whatever. It's a guy that's going to have the ball in his hand all game. He's going to shoot 15-plus shots. He's going up against Pitt, who I don't fear at all. And I think he's a really, really solid option. Harrelson's out. Okay, got people in the chat already saying that Harrelson's out. That's news to me. Yeah. If Harrelson's out, I'm firing up Cole Serta.
Yeah, I also would say don't forget about Logan Imes. I mean, he put up 31 himself, and then Sir Muhammad, even though he was a chalk bust, he was 0 for 7. He still put up 12 DraftKings points. It didn't.
That's a crazy
didn't make
stat line to be 0 for 7 and still not be completely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, so those guys were pretty chalky. Imes and Muhammad. They're probably going to be probably not as high because that's the lowest total. Well, second lowest total to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
But I like those guys too, Sir Muhammad and Logan Imes. And
then I see Cam in the chat saying I like Shrews over Serve. I don't mind Shrewsbury either. He feels kind of – what's the word I'm looking here for? I don't think his role expanded as much with the injuries as Serta did, but I still think he's at a solid price. He has better peripheral rate than Serta does. So, like, with Harrelson out, there's just such a usage vacuum on this Notre Dame team, and there's just only so many minutes to go around that I think you got to get some Notre Dame guards in there.
Yeah.
All right. So
Imes and Muhammad are going to be. Well, I was just going to say Imes and Muhammad are probably going to be those kind of values that people look to for cash games, especially.
We've got one value that I want to talk about that I know you like.
Imes had 14 points, nine boards, and 3 assists. So pretty solid for 4,800.
36 minutes play too. That's what I like a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of the upper price guards. Like, let me go find the comment in the chat. Jonathan was on this. He said, "I don't really like spin up guards. Forward is loaded." I agree pretty much. That's why pretty much like we just talked about 3 guard over 7K that we like. That's not a long list, y'all. Like forward's the position you want to be spending at, right? Also see we got some more people joining us in the chat. I see we got our guy Cam, one of the regulars. Thank you for joining us, Cam, and then Michael Peterson as well. What is up? Happy to have you guys here with us on a Friday night talking ball. So let's continue on. Let's kind of go to the mid range now. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say a couple guys that I also like are Hoiberg. He's just a stat stuffer, and it's a cake matchup against Penn State. And then Biz Jack, especially if you're not using Ajayi. Ajayi is probably going to be that chalk cash guy for cash games for pay up. But if you're not using him in GPP, Biz Jack is a good one to look through. And then otherwise, anything above 7, maybe Xavier and Lee, but otherwise don't really love much else up there.
Yeah, it's definitely a slate where I think you want to pay up for the forwards. Definitely. And even going down, like the mid-range here, there's one guy I really like, and that's Malik Messina-Moore. As time has gone by, he's kind of been a guy that Xavier just can't afford to take off the floor. Like, he's just on the floor the entire game. This game against Butler, they played last time, he had 37 DraftKings points. Game featured 164 total. No, am I doing my math right there? Yes, 164 total points scored. It's connected very similar to that. So yeah, fire me up some Malik Messina-Moore in this. He's kind of my mid-range card that I'm going to be building around.
Yeah, he's another one of those that's just a good cash guard right there, and he still has the upside at the price. Same thing with Nick Graves. You can bank on 20-plus points basically every time. But it's a pace up, too, against St. John's. Can
we just go ahead and talk about Creighton as a whole right now?
Yeah, because there's another guy that I mentioned to you before the show, too.
Yes, their rotation this year has been a mess. Just a complete mess. Like, there's no consistency. It really, you don't know which guards are going to go off on any given game. The Graves has finally started to look dependable, though. He's played over 30 minutes in 4 straight games. He's taken 7 shots in all those games. He has 25 DraftKings points in all 4 of those games. So I feel like Graves is the one that is turning into the safe option, right? Do you trust Josh Dix at all?
He's more of a shooter, so I do like him, but it's more of a GPP kind of guy. He does get rebounds, but he's not the stat stuffer like Graves is. And, they had been starting Swartz. They had been starting Harper and Davis throughout the year. And I think, given the fact that they upset UConn, I think they're going to stick with this lineup. And they put Graves back in the starting lineup. They put Dix in there. They got Zugic. Even Zugic, he's dirt cheap, and he played 31 minutes. And he had 14 points, 5 rebounds. So that's another value option there too.
That was the next guy I was going to ask you about. Was like, hey, do you trust this? Because it was it his first start of the season, I believe? Yeah, first start of the season. Yeah. Season high in minutes. And I believe it was close to a season high in DraftKings points. No, it was a season high in DraftKings points. So do you trust it enough to go back to him?
Yeah, I would have to kind of see for cash games, as long as the ownership's going to be there. But look at his game logs. Like when he gets over 20 minutes, like Seton Hall, he had 13 points, 2 boards, 2 assists. Xavier, 11, 3, and 1. Providence, he was a little, just 7 points, 1 assist, 1 steal. But most of the games that he gets the 20-plus minutes, he's going to hit 4X for that cheap.
Well, and the big reason why is like he's not like some scrub. This guy played professionally in Europe. There was a big controversy over when he was first made eligible. He plays with a 17% usage rate. Like he's not just some cone offensively. So if he's out there, he's going to be getting DraftKings points. So to me, really, you're not even gambling on him well. You're gambling on McDermott playing him.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, like you wait to see the starting lineup. As long as he's still starting, I think you just fire it up, because if he's starting, as long as he's doing well, he's going to get there.
And the most interesting thing is what we saw in that UConn game, which by the way, if you upset UConn, like thinking from a coach perspective, like that's the best game you played all season. You might want to go back to that lineup.
Yeah.
So they totally, like Swartz and Greer and Harper were like totally out of rotation. Like they played, but they didn't play much. So, if Creighton's really going to roll forward and it's going to be Dix and Graves and Zukic on the floor, I think all 3 of those guys are great values. You just don't know if you can trust it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is just like you said, Graves is the one that you can probably trust the most because his minutes are there whether he starts or not. And so and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 last 6 games over 20, and then last 9 out of 10. I mean, that's pretty consistent. And for being so cheap. And also like the comment from Jason with Bedford.
That's the next guy I was going to highlight.
Yeah, that's one thing that it almost seems like he's kind of taken over from Advilas, or how you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just call him Nico, I think, right? I think Nico is what they call him.
Yeah, he's kind of been more a shooter lately. And I mean, he did get 8 assists last game. But, yeah, Bedford's kind of been the guy for them. But it's a good matchup for both of those guys against Wake.
I mean, he killed Wake the first time they played, too. Totally killed them. And, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing for Bedford to be off the ball. Like, knowing what I know about Wake, they really are going to hound your guards with ball pressure on the perimeter. So it might be better to be like an off-ball guard against Wake, because you're going to get the catch-and-shoot opportunities that you might not get if you were starting on the ball. So maybe that's the way to look at it with Bedford. I don't know. I'm trying to make an argument for a guy that I already like. I like Bedford 5,600.
And what I want to say real quick while we're here is I like Ace Buchner, but why pay 5,400 for him when you can get Porter and Hunter, the starters, for way cheaper?
Yes, so I think there's 2 teams that like I want to talk about their guard rotation specifically before we go to forwards, right? One of them's Clemson, because you can see by looking on DraftKings, they don't got guards, right? And the 2 starters are Porter and Hunter. And both Porter and Hunter were not good against Wake. They didn't play their full minutes. They didn't play well. So they're both getting a big-time price down, right? FSU is like one of the best matchups in the AEC. Literally. They're 23rd nationally in tempo. They are 10th in the conference in defensive efficiency. So like you're getting a lot of possessions against a bad defense. And, for a guy like Hunter, who's a peripheral stat guy, I like the idea of him in a pace-up spot. And I'm not really worried about him having another dud game. Like, I think that this is a spot for him to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. Like, they played at Duke, and they played at Wake. I mean, you look at that. I mean, Duke's just a tough place to play regardless, but they're loaded. And then at Wake, he kind of struggled a little bit. But he's eventually going to have a good game. If you go back to, Miami, that's 31 DraftKings points in that game. And
so let me
he had stuff the stat sheet there.
Just take a look at the screen right now, right?
Yeah.
Is that a $4,100 player with that game log?
Yeah. They just have him down because of these last few games that he's been through.
And they had the West Coast road trip. He couldn't stop fouling. He thought he was Joseph Tugler, apparently. And then, the last few games, it's been road games. It's been games where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Like, you got to think that some positive regression is coming for him. So I think this is the right time to buy low on Dylan Hunter.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if the projections aren't pretty high on him tomorrow. And then Porter, of course, is the shooter. Yes. That's the starter. He can get hot. It seems like they kind of roll between Porter and Buchner, whoever's hitting the shots.
Whoever's got the hot hand.
Yeah, and then Buda Johnson, even he's just it's weird because he's way up and down basically, but he doesn't. I would say he's probably the least of my interest, especially with Hunter only $100 more.
I don't even think I would play Buckner at 54. I think it would just be Porter and Hunter.
Yeah, it's just those two really. And Hunter, it's going to be hard for me not to just plug him in cash at that price because, all you need is 16. He's done that even 15 is not going to kill you. He's done that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 games. So, I mean, so it's just, and he helps fit in stuff. I like it.
Yeah. So let's get caught up in the chat here, right? So I see we got Michael. Yes, I do know Pickens. So glad to have you here. And then Jason B also likes Graves. Darren says shots fired at Joseph Tugler. Yeah, because he can't stop fouling. I swear every slate, Joseph Tugler, 5,100, gonna have to put him in, and then 4 minutes in, that's Joseph Tugler's second foul. It's oh my goodness, I'm done. So yeah, Joseph Tugler, stop fouling, please. If you're watching this out there. The other team that I wanted to talk about the whole guard rotation is, you might see where this is going, St. John's, right? So Ian Jackson has already been declared out, and that's kind of a surprise because I don't remember him getting hurt in the Marquette game. Do you?
No, I didn't remember that either.
So I don't know. Maybe it happened in practice. I don't know. But here's the bottom line: if Jackson's out, somebody gets a boost. Somebody does. So who you like among the St. John's guard rotation? Because I know who I'm going to be going with, and I don't know if it's going to be the same as yours.
So my guy is going to be Dylan Darling.
Okay, we're on the same page.
he was the guy. He was core for us. What was it? It was last Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Last Saturday, Providence. He was core for us and put up 40 DraftKings points.
Yeah. Because what people don't realize is Sellers is not a point guard. Darling is the point guard. No. Jackson's point guard. And so Darling had been coming off the bench, but Pitino was even talking about, and that's why I played Darling on Saturday, is Pitino was talking about him starting and potentially moving Jackson back to shooting guard, his natural position. But instead, they ended up starting they kept the lineup, and then against Marquette, Sagnon started over Sellers. But either way, I would be very shocked if Darling does not start at point guard with Jackson out. I mean, if Sellers starts, he's not going to play. Sellers just doesn't have the upside. And for whatever reason, he's chalk all the time. But he's only been over 25, 2 times since January? Yeah, only two times. And he just doesn't get the peripherals. He's more of a shot guy. And if his shot's not falling, then what happens? Pitino benches him. He's one of those guys that benches somebody who is a shooting guard who doesn't shoot well. We saw, with Ian Jackson, it was the game before Darling went off. Yeah, because I was on Jackson that game, the game against Xavier, and Jackson only played 11 minutes because Darling took over and he was hot, and so they just kept riding him. And so people are going to say, well, he only played 13 minutes because he had 5 fouls, but he still put up 5 assists, 3 rebounds in only 13 minutes. That's basically a DraftKings point a minute. And if you're
pretty
talking
insane.
about,
yeah.
And if he's going to play 30 plus minutes, you see what happens there. 28.
Well, the thing that interests me the most is like if you go look at Darling's game log and you go look at the games when he played the most minutes, like for instance, Providence and Xavier, those were games when Ian Jackson played the least. So it seems very easy to connect the dots that, he wants Darling or Jackson on the floor. Jackson's not available to be on the floor. Hence, Darling is going to be on the floor quite a bit. So that's why I'm going to be going with Darling at 4,900.
Yeah, and Sellers, I know he'll probably still be popular, but he just doesn't do it for me. And then Saignon, he's kind of there, but he just doesn't really do he doesn't do much. I'm sure he's going to, because I said that, make 3 threes to start the game tomorrow or something. But
right, get freezing cold takes ready.
But
the other guy, I guess full team we want to talk about. Actually, we'll wait till the forwards to talk about North Carolina, but I want to talk about North Carolina as a whole.
Okay.
Let's go back. Let's just think about the guards real quick. We kind of talked about our favorites. Is there anybody else, mid-range value, whatever? Is there anybody else that you like?
Well, North Carolina, but you said we're going to talk about them in a minute.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk plenty about North Carolina. Stay tuned, Cam.
Looking through here real quick, Somerville and Imes, we talked about them. Klavzar, he's been playing well. He's cheap. His price shot up a little bit, from that Bama game where he had 22. But now it's down a little bit more. And so I don't mind taking shots on him. Evan Haywood looks like he's questionable. Yeah, he missed the last game. So if Haywood misses, I do like, let me go there, Butler at 3,400 because he's been playing well decently. So especially because, we already talked about that. That's one of the games. Neither team plays defense. It's a high total. It's a high pace. So pretty much anybody in that game could be good.
He's probably like the cheapest guy I would be willing to go with is Yame Butler. I don't think there's anybody below that I'm even remotely interested in. I mean, let me look at Corin Johnson, though. Is Corin Johnson cheaper than him or no? Oh, no, Corin Johnson's here at 39. So Corin Johnson was a guy that when I saw the news, was it Wednesday night when they were playing Texas A&M? I saw the news that Klafke was out, and I wrote you Corin Johnson lineups. And he played 28 minutes, put up 19 DraftKings points. If Klafke is out again for this team, I would roll out Corin Johnson again. Very high usage when he was in there. 28 minutes, he's 3,900. You need Klafke out because Ole Miss, you can't trust the rotations at all. But when everybody's hurt, there's only so many players that Beard can play. So then Corin Johnson gets a boost. So we need Klafke out, and then I'm willing to roll him.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, what's up with, for whatever reason, on Ole Miss? They have the stupid Vandy Ole Miss game from last year up there. And so if you're not paying attention, you're zeros for everybody. It's what?
Well, I'm pretty certain it's the game from January 31st. Just they put a 0 for the fantasy points. I don't know. Get it together, DraftKings.
Yeah, they're messed up there. Yeah, I'm going through real quick, just making sure not anybody else that I really want to talk about.
Darren
Trey
says
White.
the Iris Mushroom Sir Muhammad. We're gonna we said when we talk about Notre Dame that we're gonna get some Sir Muhammad. What you said, Trey White?
Yeah, Trey White. He's still pretty cheap. He was a core play for us last game. Started kind of slow against Oklahoma State. Obviously, Peterson going out in the second half kind of helped him, so he boosted it up. And it's a good matchup against Cincy, but it is a low total. So
I don't
I'm
think
probably
I like
not
it.
as interested,
Yeah,
as I was the other night.
He's been so much better when Peterson's been off the floor, and Peterson's gonna be on the floor. Notice the quotation marks.
Yeah,
So,
that's where he had the 8 and the 10. Well, no,
yeah.
Arizona Peterson didn't play, so even worse there.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's good
You ready to
for.
forward to forward?
Yeah.
Okay. So we hinted on this earlier, but this is where you're going to want to be putting your salary in this slate, folks. There is a lot of good high-priced forwards on this slate. The one that catches my eye immediately is Michael Ajayi. $9,700. That's a steep price tag, but he's going up against Xavier. So you go check the game log here. Oh, what did he do last time against Xavier? Oh, just 22 and 12, 47 DraftKings points. Yeah, safe to say I'm going to be firing him up. Do you have any objections to Ajayi as one of the top spend-ups?
No, and the thing I love about him that people don't realize is a lot of forwards you're banking on 30 points and 15 rebounds, or they don't get blocks, he gets everything: steals, blocks, assists, rebounds, points. And he's just such a usage monster, especially now that that one dude, can't think of his name, that was the point guard, got hurt. Not Haywood, the guy before him.
Not Haywood. It was before Haywood. Stink Robinson.
Yeah. And so since then, I can't remember exactly when that was, but he's put up 40 plus in 3 of the last 5 games.
And the ones that he didn't were like Seton Hall's objectively a bad matchup. UConn's objectively a bad matchup. Like, this is not a bad matchup.
Yeah, and he still put up 33 against UConn.
I went way too far back. Yeah. He's
still
36
good against
UConn.
Georgetown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would be shocked if he's not the highest owned forward on the slate. Because there's value we've already talked about to get him in. It's the highest total. Neither team plays defense. He already mashed them the first time. And not only that, especially for cash games, the floor is basically 30 plus. He's only been under 30 like 3 or 4 times all season. So it's just one of those safe plays.
Mm-hmm. And then I see Jason in the chat. Ajayi is a point forward 100%. Like, that's what separates him from a lot of these other guys up top, is like the way they use him as like the primary on the ball playmaker and scorer, as well as being one of the nation's best offensive rebounds. Like, that allows him so many outs to put in DraftKings points. And that's what separates him from a lot of these top guys. And so that's what I really like about him, is he just gets so many ways to beat you. So Ajayi is going to be one of my top pay-ups tomorrow. But if we're thinking for GPPs here, Zach, Ajayi is going to be one of the highest owned plays on the slate, right? So is there anybody else up top that might be a little lesser owned, that might be sneaky, or might be a way that we could get off of the Ajayi chalk? Is there anybody that catches your eye there?
So I like going back to Zuby because I played him the last slate against Marquette, because forwards have smashed Marquette all the time. And then him and Mitchell just played terrible. He still got 27, very quiet 27. But Creighton doesn't really have anybody to match him. They got Owen Freeman, but now he doesn't even play. Like, he's not even basically on the team anymore. That was just a waste of money. And so he's got that floor, but he also has the upside. We know because he can go off for, he can get 5+ blocks in a game anytime. So, and he's right there in price. So he's probably the first one there. Another guy that's right around there that nobody's probably going to play is Chinyalu, because they look at his minutes and they don't like his minutes. But the fact is, he dominates in the limited minutes. And that's why the price is so high, because he's been putting up monster games even in the limited minutes.
So, being a Texas fan, I've kind of been the last 2 years getting used to watching a lot of SEC basketball, right? Because you always want to know about the teams that your team's playing against. And so watching the Texas Ole Miss game about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Texas just dominated them with modest vocatitis. Like Ole Miss had no answer, no size. They just couldn't do anything except foul. Like that was their only defense, was just foul them. And I kind of think Chinyelo can be the same way. And he's shown you that he can go get you 40 in 23 minutes, which is just an insane thing to say. And so if he's got a good matchup and he's able to stay at a foul trouble on the other end, and the game's able to stay close enough for him to get, 25-plus minutes, he can go get you that 40 quite easily. So I really love Chinyelu in this spot. I think Ole Miss is a team that you can definitely target like oversized bigs against, of which Chinyelu is definitely an oversized big.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to play him just because they'll see that Condon and Ha are cheaper, and they'll just go there.
Yeah, and objectively, like looking at it objectively, like in a vacuum, Condon and Ha are easier, cheaper plays. And up top, you've got Ajayi and Zuby right there. So, Chinyelu is in like the natural leverage spot of all leverage spots. And so, I'm definitely not saying that it's like this slam dunk, no risk play, because he's probably not going to play more than 26, 27 minutes. But he just has the ability to nuke in limited minutes, which is what I like about him.
Yeah. Let me see. Mint's been on a roll. And so I don't mind. I don't love him as much as these others, just because Vandy does have a little. They got Washington and Okirky and McLaughlin that they can throw at him. Trey Carroll, like I never get him right every time I play him, but he did put up 51 in the first game against
in the first meeting.
Yeah.
GPP option to me. Like there's no security. But you can be pretty sure that he's going to play north of 30 minutes. You can be pretty sure that the game environment's going to be pretty good. So it kind of tracks that he could have a ceiling game. But I don't trust him enough to play him in cash or anything like that.
Yeah, skipping down a little bit, but I agree with Jonathan there. I like Mast also in the matchup against Penn State. And Sanford too.
I think both of them are in pretty good spots. Like Nebraska has had like a brutal matchup stretch, if we're being totally honest. Like pretty much for almost the last month, it's been either a major pace down or just a straight up like bad matchup for forwards. And it's kind of a natural buy low spot for both of them to me.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
And Mast
the one guy I will mention. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Mast is kind of like Ajayi, where he can be point forward sometimes. He had 7 assists against Purdue, finally looked like his old self again, and then struggled against Northwestern.
They kind of use him as like the hub of the offense. Like it's not entirely Jokic-like, but it's kind of like Jokic-light. Like they'll kind of use him as a playmaker. So yeah, he does have that upside. I like Hansberry at 82.
His price has come down a
pretty
lot.
Bad, but Wake Forest is a team that has rebounding issues, and Amani Hansberry is a rebounder. That's what he does. Last time they played, put up 41. So I think he's the 82, cheaper, a salary saver from some of the other top guys. All right, so now we go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say Dylan Mitchell, of course. If you're not playing Zuby, he's another one. Ever since they finally put him in the starting lineup, ever since then he's only been under 20 twice. Last game and then against DePaul, and really weird last game. Didn't even take a shot. Like that's just not normal because he's a guy that gets assists, gets rebounds, gets steals, gets blocks here and there, and gets points. But that's the one thing that always frustrates me is like I've gotten between Mitchell and Zuby, I've gotten it right twice, but then I feel like I've gotten it wrong several other times. They don't seem to both hit what you need for GPP at the same time. It's usually like
I wouldn't play both of them together in GPP
or a Zuby game.
So if I could just rant really quickly, do you find it hilarious like I do that college basketball is like now For the last decade, everything's been about like pace and space, small ball, 5 out. And now like some of the best teams are playing 3 big lineups. Well, I kind of find that hilarious that's been the pushback to like, oh, everybody's playing small, everybody's just pacing space. And then Michigan's like, nah, bro, we're going to play 3 centers, deal with it. And St. John's kind of figured that out as well. Like Bryce Hopkins, obviously not a center, but like playing Hopkins at the 3, Mitchell at the 4, Zuby at the 5, that's been the best lineup. And you got Florida, Hauck at the 3, Condon at the 4, Chignelli at the 5, Michigan State, Carr at the 3, Kohler at the 4, Cooper at the 5. Like these teams playing 3 big lineups has been so effective for them. And it's just funny that it completely bucks the entire trend of the last decade of college basketball. And so I am here for it. I hope that Mitchell gets back on track, and I hope that we see more of the 3 big lineups because I find it hilarious.
Yeah, I like it too. But sometimes it's frustrating for DFS purposes. Same thing with Michigan, trying to figure out which one.
Yeah.
Really, though, I don't know about you, but after Mast, like at 73,
big gap.
Yeah, then I'm like, I don't really like anybody until we get to.
There's a guy that's been mentioned twice in the chat so far.
Oh yeah,
Darren mentioned him, and then Huncho mentioned him. I know this is Huncho's guy, Ugana Onyenso. So we got to talk about him. So this is a guy who I all season, admittedly, have not played a whole lot. And the reason why is because if you cover up the left side of the game log and you just look at the minutes, he has not played more than 24 minutes in a game this season. However, 2 things have happened. A, he's shown the ability that he can go get you 5X in 24 minutes. It's what he did against Georgia Tech. It's what he did against Ohio State. B, he might be asked to play more than 24 minutes in this one, Zach.
Yeah, we had Tillis go down last game at the end of it, and he's questionable, on the report for tomorrow. Tillis is, but even with that, Grunlow has been the starter, but Onyenso has been playing more.
Yes.
So Grunlow, he was doing good earlier in the year, but he's not really doing as good now. And so I definitely like Onyenso. I hate that his price is up to 6,000. I was liking it whenever it was 44, 5,000, even 50, 53, and 55. That's the only thing that gives me pause because he is going up against Uday and Renew. And so
if I may, though,
not a bad rebounding team.
Malik Renew, like in the chat, correct me if you feel like I'm wrong, because I've watched Malik Renew for the past 11 years at Indiana. Feels like the guy's been in college basketball forever. I feel like Malik Renew gets his shot blocked a lot. Or maybe it's just when he's in my lineups. Like maybe that's just me watching it and feeling like I'm always on tilt and I'm always watching when he gets his shot blocked. But I feel like Malik Renew gets his shot blocked a lot. And Ugana Onyenso is a guy that can block shots. Like Huncho said, he's literally leading the country in block rate. Number 1 out of all 365 Division I college basketball teams. And he's got a matchup against a guy who my perception is that he gets his shot blocked a lot. So I think that this is a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and as everybody remembers that, he is a top prospect. He was
Kentucky.
Highly ranked recruit that went to Kentucky, went to Kansas State, but as we kind of seen with the whole Tang stuff and everything, he didn't really get to play.
Careers go to die at Kansas State.
Yeah. And so now he's kind of been rejuvenated, and he's got 3+ blocks in all but one of the last games since January 27th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. And not only that, he's getting rebounds, he's getting points as well. Like you said, it's just the minutes. Like if we knew that he was going to play 30+ minutes, he'd probably break the slate. And so he's going to be a good play for both formats, but he's also probably going to be popular.
Very popular. Yeah.
People see those just like, we can see too. 20, 30, the last 5 games, 6 games. And so he's a great play. Another one, or we want to do next. We want to talk about Clemson.
So there's 3 front courts that I think I want to talk about in totality, and then we can get on at it. We'll talk about the core and we can get on out of here.
Okay.
So the first front court I want to talk about is Clemson. So correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, and you guys in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong as well. Hasn't it felt like Carter Welling has been chalk on every slate for the past month? Like, it feels like every slate we go in and he's like written up in the RotoWire article, or RPS makes him core, or just look at his salary and his points per game, or just look at the matchup, and he's popular every slate, and now he's 5,500 with a nuts matchup. And so I guess I'm asking you a 2-part question here. A, do you think he's going to be popular again? And B, do you think it works out?
Yeah, I think he's going to be popular again. And I think this time, I think it does work out. Because like we just talked about when we talked about Hunter, they had the West Coast road trip, struggled. He came back home and he dropped 33 against Virginia Tech. Then against Duke, obviously, you're playing against in Dongba and Boozer. And then he came back late Wake, like we already talked about, as a good matchup, and puts up 25. He's one of those guys that averages better. This is one thing that I like, that I think goes unnoticed, that I like to mention on the show almost every time that we can talk about it, is
I know exactly where you're going.
Look at your home road splits, especially with the fouls. Welling is a guy that averages almost 3 fouls a game on the road, but it's under 2 at home. It's like 1.6 at home. And so some guys, especially forwards, because of the calls and everything, play better at home. He put up 33 against Virginia Tech. He put up 14, so he kind of struggled against Pitt, but 27 against NC State, 30 against Miami, 30 against Boston College, 23 against SMU. So you're looking at, in conference play, every single game except for one has been over 20 DraftKings points when he's at home. That's pretty consistent.
Just a different animal at home.
Yeah. And so I think he's going to be chalk, and I think it's going to work out. And I think because we've kind of seen it tonight with Miami, Ohio, we saw the other night with Arizona, and another night with another team, the trend has been where people are just stacking the teams that are in the good matchups. And so I think we're going to see probably 2 or 3 Clemson guys end up chalk tomorrow.
100%. And now what's funny is like the Stanford game, when it was very obvious that Welling was going to be chalk, he was coming off of back-to-back dud games where Davidson had played the majority of the minutes. And I was telling everybody who would listen to me, hey, Davidson is leverage, play Davidson over Welling chalk. And I got it right that game. And then if you've tried to go back to Davidson since then, it hadn't really worked because they've kind of gone back to a more of a 50-50 split. And Welling has been the higher usage, more effective player since then. And now you're getting Welling in a better spot. So I do think that if you do want leverage over Welling, Davidson would be the guy because they're going to play a combined 40 minutes. They're not going to share the floor together. But to me, this just feels like so much of a better spot to Welling. To me, this is the time where I'm actually just going to play Welling.
Yeah, I honestly don't hate any of the Clemson, because even Walling and Godfrey, they're going to play enough too. That's the thing with Clemson is everybody plays 20-plus minutes, everybody except for Chase Thompson. They only use him if he needs, extreme foul trouble or something. And so I don't mind the idea of mixing it up. Like if you're a guy that, say, I only want to play 5 lineups today, and I don't really want to use the same guy in every lineup. So play Welling in 1, Godfrey in 1, Davidson in 1, and Walling in 1, and then you get exposure to all of them. Because even though I love guys and I like to go 100%, sometimes that can burn you, especially, you never know when a guy's going to get hurt, or Welling could come out and get 2 fouls all of a sudden, 2 random fouls, or, random technical or something. You can get a technical for hanging on the rim or something.
Right.
Yeah, but I would not be surprised at all if Welling is, when you pull up projections in the morning, if he's the highest point per dollar projection on the slate.
Yeah, I expect him to be quite popular. So last kind of point of the day, and I think this is going to be a potential source of value, is I think we got to talk about this entire team. The North Carolina Tar Heels. They got Caleb Wilson out. We don't know whether Vasar is going to play, right? He's listed as questionable. The last few games, we have seen huge minutes and usage boosts for pretty much everybody on the team outside of Wilson and Vasar, because previously to that, Wilson and Vasar were the offense. So here would be my question. If Vasar is back, are you still willing to roll out the guys like Trimble, like High, like Dixon, or are you more cautious if Vasar is back?
So I'm a little more cautious. So I'm actually going to be more cautious on like Bogovac and Dixon than I am High. And the reason is, like we've talked about all night, these teams prefer to play big men all the time. And so even if Vasar is back, High is still going to play, I think, 20-plus minutes. Because I don't think Stevenson, they had to, obviously, the last two games because Vasar, but I don't think they want him playing 30-plus minutes.
Correct.
I think they prefer him to be 20-25.
The entirety of Stevenson's career, dating back to Alabama and going to North Carolina, he's been a guy who generally does not play more than 25 minutes in a game. He's been a guy who generally does not play with a high usage rate. And even in the last few games, he's been very efficient, but still hadn't played either of those games with higher than a 15% usage rate. And so it's just like, we kind of know what this guy is, right? Like we know what we're going to get from him, and he's priced up to the absolute max. Whereas, and I think that his minutes could get sliced. I don't think High's minutes are going to go down a whole lot if Vasar is back. In that NC State game, he fouled out in 30 minutes. So he might have gotten to 33, 34. So yeah. I think that High is the guy that I'm going to continue to go with until his price gets out of hand, or until I see otherwise in what happens.
Yeah, people forget that he was also a top 100 four-star recruit for North Carolina. Like, he's not just a guy that, just a walk-on sitting on the bench that gets, just magic playing time. He just hadn't had the opportunity. You look at the blowout games earlier this year where he actually had North Carolina Central or whatever. He had 11 points, 2 rebounds and assists, 2 blocks in only 14 minutes. He's just a guy that hasn't had the opportunity, and now he has, and he's doing work with it. And I just don't see that Stevenson, like if Vasar's back, and we could also see Vasar be coming off the bench too.
Yeah. That's the other thing with Stevenson too, to me, is they have shown the willingness to play Stevenson at the 3. And so to me, if Stevenson's going to stay on, then that would just mean less minutes for Bogovac.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like watching Carolina this year, looking at the numbers, I feel like High's minutes are not the ones that are going away. Now I will say, we got Cam in the chat here. I don't disagree that Stevenson is a better two-way player. I think Stevenson gives you a lot of value defensively. I think he's a good floor spacer. I think that he does a lot of little things that High does not. But I think for DFS, I think High's the guy we want, if that makes sense. I definitely don't disagree with that. But I think playing DFS, I think High's the guy that I'm gonna be looking at tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, High had an offensive rating 131 against Pittsburgh and 98 against NC State, and he had 19 and 26% usage. I don't see why people they were hating on him the first start and against Pitt, and then they were kind of still hating on him a little bit, questioning if it's the same thing that we're doing right now, questioning if Vasar plays if you play him. And I think, just like you, I think you do, especially in cash. He's going to have the ownership And even if, he doesn't have as good of a game at 5,300, he's been a lot more, Dixon has not been considered. I know people keep bringing up Dixon,
I
but
kind
he's
of like
literally,
Dixon.
he has 11, he has 24, he has 80, he has 17. Like, he's let us down way more than he's actually paid off. And
So
especially
yeah. I'm somebody who's going to chase the usage. Dixon's the guy that's got the usage. And I know the NC State game was ugly. He did not play well, but the ball was in his hands. He had the opportunities. He took 12 shots. He took 9 threes in only 22 minutes. So I just feel like he's going to have the opportunities at 4,800. Like I said, I don't think the minutes are going away from him either. I think that if Vesar is back, which he might even not be, by the way, if Vesar is back, I think the minutes are going a little bit from Stevenson and a little bit from Bogovac. I don't think that they're cutting into high too much. I don't think that Dixon or Trimble will be cut in too much. I think that Trimble is going to play pretty much the entire game as well.
Yeah, honestly, if I had a gut call looking at who's left, I think they sit Vesar again because it's Syracuse. They play Louisville, Vatek, Clemson, and Duke the last 4 games. Like they're gonna need him for those games, and so I think they try to be cautious there.
So Cam is kind of. I also think this is a good point. I think that if Vesar is out, I think Donnie Freeman on the other side is a really good play. Like NC State, Darion Williams didn't play the whole game because he was bleeding somewhere, and he was quite effective when he was in the game. Who was it that North Carolina played in the other game? Was it, I want to say Pittsburgh? Yeah, how did the Pitt Bigs do in that game? Now I'm down a rabbit hole. How did the Pitt Bigs do against North Carolina when they didn't have Vesar? We can look this up real quick.
Corin had 40.
Okay, yep. That sells it. If Vesar is out, then we're definitely firing up Donnie Freeman. That's an easy decision.
Yeah, I do think one thing for sure is, and you probably agree too, if Vesar plays, I'm not touching it. Even at 86, I know people are going to be like, oh, that's cheap. But we don't know, with his ankle and all that, it's a lower body injury for a big guy. So
big fellas and lower body injuries, I generally am in a wait and see approach. Just generally speaking, I'd rather not mess with it. So yeah, I think that about covers it for the forward spot. So Zach, let's if there's anybody that we missed in the chat, anybody else you guys want to talk about, let us know. Like even if you got like a player prop or anything like that you want to talk about, let us know. But let's go ahead and close it out with your core 4. So I'm gonna let you set this up, Zach, because it's your core. But I think you did a pretty good job.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like with football season, the core is mostly geared for cash games, but I still like it for GPP because as we know with college football and basketball, the core, the chalk is chalk for a reason. And a lot of it is because there's not just a lot of information out there. And those usually end up being the best plays.
Sometimes the best plays are the best plays.
Yeah. So high, and I will say this is subject to change since we're doing it the night before, trying to get it done so that we could have it on the show. So you can always get the updated one in Discord or if you have the link to the sheet. But high, just kind of what we were talking about, think that Vesar doesn't play. If he does play, obviously going to be limited, and High's just been dominated the last 2 games. So then you have Graves. We talked about being a solid, cash floor, 20 plus. Welling, we've already talked about, probably going to be one of the highest owns. And then Darling. So one thing I want to mention, this orange spot, this is one where it's usually the guy that might be the least owned, but I still like him. One of the guys that particularly goes there a lot is Karchenkov for Arizona. For whatever reason, the industry does not like him, but he is consistently. Yeah, consistently just like I loved it where I was like, Awaka's going to be chalk, but I still love Karchenkov. And what happened? Awaka had like 18 and Karchenkov had like 32. And yeah, that's the type of
in defense of Awaka, because I played Awaka that night. In defense of Awaka, he had so many opportunities, he just could not put the ball in the basket. That it felt like Awaka felt like a right process, wrong bet type of play. But yes, Karchenkov, you're 100% right on. Continue.
And so usually it's like if Cash, you don't like the low own plays, you're the type of guy that wants all the high owned so that you can have comfort in knowing your guy's high owned. If he sucks, it's not going to kill you. Then that would be the guy that I would fade. But on this slate, I'm thinking that all four of those guys are going to be very popular. I don't think it's going to be a situation like Karchenkov where he was significantly lower owned than the rest of Arizona. I think Darling, once people see the news of Jackson being out, I think he's going to be high owned. But if it turns out that people are pushing sellers, then I even love Darling even more because, like I said, I'm not worried if sellers starts randomly. I still like Darling more, especially with no Jackson.
Yeah, I like Darling too, man. Like, just looking at what's happened with St. John's the last 2 weeks, it's been very clear that when Jackson is out, Darling is in. And Ian Jackson is declared out for the game. So it just seems like a very simple dots to connect to me. And I hope that everybody else out there doesn't connect those dots so that we can get a low-owned Dylan Darling. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't think he's going to be. I think if I had to pick of those, maybe Graves would probably be the low, just because he's on the road and it's Creighton and people just like, I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
But I think Welling might be the highest owned guy tomorrow. And high, especially if Vasar's out. What time is that game anyways? Is that?
I believe that's a 1 p.m. tip.
So that's something that we got to wait
Eastern time. I forget that the world doesn't revolve around my Eastern time zone.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like I said, just checking the chat in the morning. It worked out whenever you said, hey, you want to do the show because like I already mentioned, we got double header tomorrow out of town. We're leaving at like 7 a.m, and so I wouldn't have time to do the sheet. And normally, like if I'm home, we would do like an afternoon sheet, a night sheet, but we're not going to mess with that. We'll just do the stats spreads. So we'll have the stats spreads and we'll have a core for those, but not the full sheet. We just don't have time for that since I'll be driving and everything.
All right, so let's see if there's anything else in the chat here. Let me kind of get caught up. Darren, I'm not familiar with her work, so no comment there. And then favorite 4K play, nobody can be a possibility. I'm assuming that was supposed to say over 4K. I'm assuming. So if we're looking at guys whose salaries start with a 3, my pick will be Fedor Zugic tomorrow. I think that he's in a pretty doggone good spot if he continues to start. Obviously, we need to see that starting lineup, but that would kind of be the guy that I think has a ton of upside in the 3K range.
Yeah, I would say him the most. Corin Johnson that you mentioned, if Klafke's out. But that's probably – I'm probably not really interested in anybody else down there, really.
It does suck that, like, the two guys we just named are like, if so-and-so is out.
Yeah.
If
Butler.
Yeah, because, like –
if Haywood's out again, though. But again, it's if somebody's out.
But, like, it's like he's almost missed the days of, like you remember November when it was like teams would just have a starter at 3K and you could just put him in every line. Like it does. I don't know if I missed those days or not because it definitely made it. It almost made it so that way you were playing 7-on-7 against everybody when there was like so many obvious ones. Yeah, and then we got Cam, Sannon, and Dixon. Yes, I like Dixon. I think Dixon's going to be a guy that I'm going to play, and I think Sannon, he's got to get a little bit of a bump with the Jackson injury being out. So I don't mind that either. Like they're not going to play Darling 40 minutes. Sannon's going to get some shots, so I don't mind that either.
Yeah, I mean, he takes shots, but he just doesn't make them too often. That's the issue.
Now you say that, I'm telling you, I'm going to send you to freezing
Yeah.
cold take when Joseph Sandin goes 5 for 6 from 3 tomorrow. All right, I believe that is everything though. So yeah, nice little efficient hour and 5-minute show. I know you're going to be on the road tomorrow. I'm going to be on the road. I'm heading to Dayton tomorrow. My dad went to college at Dayton, so my Christmas gift to him is a trip to see them play. They are not having a great season, but it's going to be a fun little road trip, and we'll be back Sunday night. So very much looking forward to that. But I am going to be waking up in 7 hours.
Yeah,
and also the interesting part, I'm
going
to be having to do the optimizer on my phone tomorrow in the car, so that's going to be fun.
Thankfully, I'll be on the bus. So the boys, they get on the bus and they go to sleep. So it's just me and the coaches up there, and I'll just be messing with my phone. Thank you, Cam.
Yes, and Cam, I love every 3 is 1x. You gotta love when you got a guy that cheap where they make a 3 and it feels huge, right? Like tonight, like watching a little bit of Tatum Conraway because he was a core play for me. And it's like every little thing he does, it's like, oh, he's up to 3x. Oh, he's up to 4x. Like, just you got to love when you have a cheap guy that actually does end up going off. And yes, thank you for the safe travels. It's going to be a fun trip, man. Anytime you get to go to a college basketball game, just love it. Like this is a great sport that we follow, a great sport that we watch. And if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying it, what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
I think we got the last chat of the night, and then we'll wrap it up.
I guess
Darren says, never know about how high school basketball finished. So we lost in the conference tournament last night. But the good news is that we are rolling into the state playoffs next week. We are likely to have a first-round bye, which is awesome, and likely to have a home playoff game next Thursday night. We're either going to be like the 4 seed or the 5 seed in our region. And it's a 48-team bracket, so we're going to be in pretty good shape to win a few playoff games. We've got 2 guys that are going to be D1, and a lot of other teams do not. Like they're not. The only downside is they're not like 6'9", 6'10", 6'11 guys. They're guards, but they're D1 caliber guards, and so if they come out and they're at their best, we're pretty tough to beat. So hopefully it'll be a good playoff run. All right. But yeah, I think that's going to close us out. Jason, thank you for joining us as well. Thank you to everybody who is watching us live. It's gotten pretty good numbers tonight. So glad to have you guys with us live. Hopefully we gave you guys all the goods y'all need to go out and build some winning lineups tomorrow. I know I'm looking forward to getting out in the morning and in the car when I'm not driving, when it's not my shifts, getting on and building some lineups. This is going to be a fun slate. And so I hope that you guys have good luck with it. Go win all the contests. Would love for one of us to end up winning one of the big prizes tomorrow. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will hopefully be back with one of these lives in the near future. We'll see, but you'll know when we go live if you're subscribed. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Do us a favor, like the video on the way out. Zach, you got any closing words before we end it here?
No, just thanks everybody for joining. It's nice to have questions, inputs, especially when we have brain farts, when we're sitting there and somebody in the chat gives us a good answer or lets us know what we're thinking of.
Cam was Johnny on the spot with the Corin stat. The Corin stat was great. Just
great to have everybody, and wish we could do it as often as we did football, but it's just hard with our schedules with you doing basketball, and now baseball started for me. So we'll see hopefully over spring break we can do it for March Madness. So
that's what I'm hoping we can, because I'm going to be taking a few days off in March Madness this year, which will be nice. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Thank you guys for joining us live. Best of luck to you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you guys win some money. Hopefully we win some money as well. But we want you guys to win some money. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we will see you guys next time.